right, and we are back, and we have one of our first guests coming up next. I'd like to bring up to the stage the president of the Lightwave 3D group, Mr. Rob Powers.
Thank you, Kiki, and I want to say to everybody watching the live stream, we are TriCaster powered.
Woohoo!
The new tech TriCaster.
TriCaster 8000.
That's right, and the whole show that you're seeing is being streamed with our TriCaster
Live
technology.
straight
So
to you.
rocket TriCaster.
And of course, for all of you people sitting here live in front of us, you guys can go to lightwave3d.com and find the link if you want to watch the show later or tomorrow, whatever. But let's talk about our next guest who's coming up.
Yes.
Rich Helvey. He is one of the top motion graphic artists working for NBC Studios. You may have seen some of his work for like Tonight Show with Jay Leno or Access Hollywood. What I really like about this aspect is that we're talking about motion graphics. So Lightwave now being used in television for something other than a show, but the graphic portion of it.
Some people don't realize that Lightwave is a great motion graphics tool. I myself got an Emmy nomination for a show open called The Norm Show, and I did all that show. It was little game pieces hopping along a board. It was, I think we won the Emmy actually. We did win the Emmy for that, and it was all done motion graphics.
So many Emmys. Yeah, how can you keep track?
Lose track, you know. But the thing is motion graphics work has to turn around very quickly for television.
Yes.
And Lightwave has some great tools. Of course, Lightwave 11.6 with a new spline transform. I did another show open called Movie Beam, which was a channel that was launched by, I can't remember the company, but we did a film strip that was winding through, and it was frustrating to do that. But now with Spline tool, it is so quick to do that and set that up in 11.6. It would be amazing. But let's bring Rich on up on the stage. Thank you, Kiki.
I will leave you two alone.
There you go. Rich Helvey, everybody, of NBC fame. You know,
Yes.
I love The Tonight Show. It's one of my favorite shows. I watch it almost every night.
Oh, good.
And I have since I was a kid when it was Johnny Carson, and also now with as well with Jay Leno. I love it. And you also did Access Hollywood as well.
Yeah, I've been at Access Hollywood since 1996, and that's a long time in TV, since '96.
Absolutely.
Been there since the beginning, and from almost year 2, we started using Lightwave. We had a HAL Express at first. We were like all Quantel based, and we decided after about a year or so that we needed to, do something special, and we sold the HAL, got like a house worth of money for it. We bought a render farm, and copy of Lightwave, and we started going from there. And we heard from other producers, other people who worked on other shows, that they would sit down and look at our show and call in the graphics department and say, how can they be doing that? I want you to do that. And I think we were among the first shows to be doing day of ray traced 3D animations that are rendered from scratch.
Really quick turnarounds on this, and I would imagine that the addition of the VPR, which is our interactive version of our Emmy award-winning renderer, right in the viewport, the VPR, you turn it on, you see all of your graphics there with the full ray tracing happening, so you can change lighting. Has that been useful?
Yeah, that helps. That helps a lot. I like hitting the F9 button because I can get up and go get a snack or something like that, but I can't do that as much anymore.
I'm sorry, we're making excuses. Well,
I know.
We'll have to write a plug-in that will come up and act like it's processing something because Lightwave has gotten so efficient.
It's too fast. Yeah. No, but it's really cool to be able to set up your object, set up your lights, and just move things around, tweak them a little bit, because there's always that time where that reflection isn't quite hitting it just right, and then you go to render it, and after 30 frames or something, you realize that, this shadow is now casting, and it's too late now because you're rendering and you got to go on air in 2 hours.
Right.
But with VPR, I can scrub through, I can look, I can just tweak everything, get it all nice and perfect, get all the glints where I want them and everything. It's really helped a lot.
Great. And in 11.6 with a new spline tool that does the transformations along a spline path, you can deform objects, you can move the motion paths interactively.
Yeah, I can't wait to play with that.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a very cool thing to see that you can deform an object very quickly, and it also adds the nodes with any object so that you can see them in your motion editor, in your graph editor, and make those changes and change the motion paths by rotating those nodes, those objects, so that things would bend along a path.
So how long is this interview going to be? Because I need to get home and play with that.
Well, we'll try to not go too long, but
Okay.
we're gonna, yeah. So you brought some clips in, and we're looking at some of those right now. Access Hollywood, I think, is what we have up. Can you tell us
Yeah,
something
this
about
is a bunch of stuff that's through the years, actually. So there's some things that are going to be more modern. That's obviously low-res Shark Week.
Shark Week?
I thought that was apropos because of Sharknado.
Yes, Sharknado.
Yeah.
We love that.
Yeah. And there's just a bunch of stuff that I've done. A lot of this I don't think would have been possible without Lightwave, because I can sit down at 8 o'clock or so, we would get the order for what we need to do. I can sit down, I can lay out the text, model it really quickly, get those surfaces on there, get the thing animated, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
And get it onto a render farm, which I can have as many nodes as I want because they're free.
And Lightwave comes with the Emmy Award-winning renderer built in. You don't have to have another pipeline set up or an external renderer.
Nope.
You just have it right there.
Yeah, and I just kick it off, get that to the render farm, get it over to the control room, and I'm done.
That's great.
And I wouldn't be able to turn this stuff around as fast as I could. Last time I was at Siggraph, I met Tim Jennison, and I went up to him and shook his hand and said, thank you for my house and my car and my life, basically, because
Yes.
I wouldn't have that without Lightwave.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for me, thank you for my opportunities to work on the films that I worked on, because it really was Lightwave that allowed me as an individual artist to respond quickly to those opportunities.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, I see some character animation type stuff happening on these, I think, really quick turnarounds. Do you see that Lightwave has offered you the tools to do more creatively with the time that you
Yes.
do have, so that you can raise up the bar on the visual effects?
When I was a kid, I saw, I was a Star Wars fan and all that stuff. I saw Roger Rabbit, and when I got out of that, I decided that what I wanted to do with my life was to do special effects. And then somehow I wound up doing motion graphics. But I still like to pretend that I'm doing special effects and character animation and all that. And luckily, I work on a show that's creative enough, and we talk about all these other shows and movies and things, so that I can do stuff that I can fake it. I can pretend like I'm doing what, all the effects and
There's a Star
stuff.
Ward shot right there.
Oh yeah, that was actually for a bar mitzvah that I did for a kid.
That's
now,
cool.
the ray tracing nodes, I could have used here, because right now, if you watch, the feet don't go; they float over the ground.
Okay.
So I want to play with some of the new tools that will let me do this. This is one of the latest things we did to Access London for the Olympics, and what was great about this was a good tie-in between Lightwave and After Effects. We were able to animate everything in Lightwave, send the data over to After Effects, and we layered all the pieces together. The text up there is actually After Effects text,
Okay.
but it marries in there perfectly, and the camera just translated right
Absolutely.
over. And that's actually what's funny is there's been a few things that I've animated, and they're all After Effects projects, but I've animated them in Lightwave, and I've just sent over the nulls with the animation on it to After Effects, because it's much easier to animate in three-dimensional space in Lightwave than it is in After Effects.
And can you imagine now, because you can attach cameras to that spline tool, the camera moves that you've always wanted to get, moving through very interactively in the interface, if you could do that and then send that camera over, those of you who don't know, the interchange with After Effects and Lightwave, we support cameras, lights, nulls, and the planes that you can send over for motion graphics back and forth between the two applications. So there is an enhanced level since version 11.5 with After Effects and Lightwave interchange.
Yeah, and that's come in really handy, because everything has to go through an After Effects pass where we are, because we have to convert it to a QuickTime to send to the control room. And the more stuff that we can tie from one to the other, the better.
Right.
Because then we don't have to do everything in Lightwave, because there's certain things that we want to render over there, and they're going to take a little bit longer to render, but then we want to put in an image of somebody. Well, we don't need to render the whole 3D thing every single time, but we want the image to live in the same world. So we just send over the camera data to After Effects, and it works great.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, that's helped us expand even more, how we're using Lightwave on our show.
Yeah, compositing is such an important part of the pipeline that we really thought it was important with 11.5 to introduce that interchange. I mean, we have great interchange on the 3D side with, now we have the Olympic support. We've had FBX, which I think is one of the strongest FBX interchanges in the industry.
Yeah, I've actually started playing with that a little bit because we're talking virtual sets, something like that, so we're experimenting with some things, and they need some FBX support, and I was just able to just click a button, boom, they had it, and they said, wow, this is one of the best looking models we've seen.
Yeah,
so,
great. I know
like
Chris
that.
Zapara is also using that on the shows he's working on. He's another Emmy Award-winning artist that did a lot of work over the years, and he's using that on a lot of the shows to get FBX files from Lightwave into Nuke, so that the 3D assets and all come in with the camera into Nuke, and it works really great, he says.
Yeah, no, I so far, all my experience has been good.
Great.
I like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what particular features did you get a chance to see our 11.6 reel that we previewed some of the new features?
Yeah, I like I said, I want to go home and play. I don't want to be up here talking to you about them. Okay, I've got to connect at home. I dabble in code, and so when they came out with a version you could, actually buy all on its own, I got it, and I haven't done a single thing with it. And what I want to do is clean out my garage, set up the Kinect with my computer there, and sit there and do character animation, make little cartoons for my daughter who's going to be 5 in August, and I think I can actually do that now. I don't have time to animate these little characters because as fast as your tools are, it still takes time. It's going to be a lot easier to just stand there in front of a Kinect and just wave my arm or do whatever I'm supposed to be doing.
Or the facial.
And then the other tools that you've got where you can, I'm sorry, what is it called?
Raycast node?
No,
Chronosculpt?
Yeah. That just looks really cool.
It's sweet. I have to tell you, it's one of my bags of tricks that I've used over the years. When I've been in companies that have been using Houdini and other products that have done a lot of dynamic simulations,
right.
All of these products that calculate simulations on soft bodies and rigid bodies, everybody knows that has really done work with simulations. There's always some little thing that you gotta fix at the last minute. You gotta go back and resim and resim and resim. Chronosculpt allows you to in your environment,
right.
Oh my gosh. You can customize and fix things very quickly and just get it out, and you don't have to worry about that because dynamic simulations for you would be much harder to incorporate in your turnaround times.
Right. Well, the fact that you've now included bullet, that helps a lot. And then you tie that with the fact that you don't have to redo your simulation over and over and over again. And you make one little tweak, and then you got the butterfly effect, and it just screws everything up that you had working perfectly.
Right.
You don't have to worry about that anymore.
Right.
It just, you paint what you want to paint, and you fix it, and it's just, wow. That's where that, somebody's supposed to make that make nice button. Well, you guys almost did that.
And the other cool thing is that if you have dynamic simulations that you've done for other things, Chronosculpt could allow you in your turnaround schedule for motion graphics where you have these shows that you got to get ready really quickly.
Right.
You could repurpose that stuff like that, like we showed with the bridge. It looks like a totally different dynamic simulation.
Yeah, depending on what you're doing, you just paint this part out or paint that part out or... Yeah. No, I can't wait.
Yeah, introducing that brush painting on dynamic simulations over time is really one of the important things that I think is so useful, and it really was in Lightwave as edit effects in a more primitive version. But we've opened that whole thing up now, so everybody using any application can use and benefit from Chronosculpt. We were showing earlier, 12 million polygon objects being sculpted and moved around over time, just like butter, I like to say, because it was so smooth.
That's nice.
Yeah. And then you send that stuff back and render in whatever package you want. Of course, Lightwave, but you can do your blend shapes, you can do your morph targets directly endomorphs into Lightwave objects. And with the Olympic support now in 11.6, that's coming in 11.6 and in Chronosculpt, you can interface with anything.
Yeah, I'm sitting here, I can't talk because I'm just blown away. It's such cool stuff. I haven't been to one of these shows in a little while because I felt like I kept coming and it was sort of the same old stuff over and over and over again. And I had to come to this one because I knew that you guys had something up your sleeve, and I'm like, I want to see what this stuff is, and I want to get my hands on it.
We're really happy to have you here with us. And
yeah, it's very cool stuff.
One of the other things you made me think about when you were talking about the garage setup for your daughter, you had an idea for character animation and some kind of story. That's one of the great things about Lightwave. Can we run the Lightwave scalable video clip? I just want to have that running for a minute to illustrate a point. One of the things that I love about Lightwave and that I have seen as an artist is if you choose Lightwave as a tool, it is scalable so that you have all the tools that you see in Battlestar Galactica. In fact, the monitor across from us, that scene that you see that looks like Blade Runner, that was done by Stargate in Lightwave. And you see the beautiful render quality, an award-winning renderer, all the visual effects stuff that you have. The key elements of a pipeline. When you're working in a studio, you have that with Lightwave, but you also have it when you're an individual at home working on your own project and your own idea. You don't lose the functionality of your production pipeline because you lose your job at a company, or you don't have access to their render setup or their proprietary tools.
Or their in-house programmers who are writing all the shaders
or TDs or shaders. When you purchase and invest in Lightwave, you have those tools at your fingertips anytime. I've woken up on Saturday at 3 a.m. with an idea and said, I've got to see what this looks like, and I can do it.
Right.
I don't have to go, well, I got to wait till I get back to work Monday and I have access to the blah, blah, blah. That's what I love about Lightwave, is it really is creative freedom. And you made me think when you said I could take the Kinect and go into my garage and set this up and play with my ideas, record those motion capture files. Maybe on those shows where you're working on the show opens or the little interstitials, you could possibly do a real-time character interacting with the host or something now.
Yeah, that's sort of the next level, is we can have a Kinect on stage and we have talent interacting with the graphics somehow, whether it's a character or whether we're just recording what they're doing and then that's going to trigger some graphic that comes up or something like that. I don't know yet. I haven't played with it yet. So I'm excited to, because it'll bring us a whole nother level of interactivity that we don't have currently with our talent. We've actually got 2 Access Hollywood shows. We've got the nighttime show that's sort of like the newscast thing. And in the mornings, we've got a live show that's more of a talk show. We do interviews, things like that, and it's live. Like, we're actually filming it live. And so we have an even shorter amount of time. Our meeting is at 6, and they start taping at 8. So we really have no time for that at all. And to be able to do something where we could have some kind of interactive thing with talent, that would go a long way towards making the show, have even more production value than it currently does.
Right.
And it looks like this is going to be a prime candidate for allowing us to do that.
Right. One of the other cool things about the Kinect support is, motion capture facilities that you go into a volume and you set up the character and you have to kind of do the T-pose and map the character and get it all set up. If you typically have left those volumes, they leave the volume, the motion capture volume, you get into trouble. So it messes it up and they have to come back and recalibrate everything. It's a very long process. But the cool thing about the Kinect gaming technology and the Microsoft for Windows camera is you basically can walk out of the frame, and then I could walk in and be a totally different person, and it senses your form, and it just locks onto you, and you start. It works immediately.
No, it's one of those magic devices that I don't know what they're doing in there.
Microsoft has done a great job with that.
Yeah, it's amazing stuff. It's fun to play with.
We had a technology preview that we showed that at NAB, and we actually have a plugin that was in Lightwave that has been shipping for a long time that allows you to take a audio channel and drive animation channels with that.
Right.
So I'm sure for motion graphics, you've probably used that for certain things.
We've used that. You have your music playing and it's got a beat to it or whatever, and you want the lights to flash or whatever. Or even if you're not actually going to use that music, you're not going to hear it. It's always better to animate to something, because the musicians have gone through and figured out pacing and tempo and things like that. And if you're doing your motions to that music, it's just going to look better. So it's nice to have those tools in there that let you do it right from Lightwave. I don't have to jump out to some other program and play the music and try to count how many beats and where am I going to put that. It's right there.
I've always loved that plugin, but the cool thing about our technology preview is we showed how we've made that plugin actually live real time. So for the kind of thing we're talking about where you could have a digital character interacting on your show, we showed while Lino was talking at NAB, you can still see the clip at Waskell TV. We did the stream from them. But you can see as he talks, the robot's mouth moves in real time as he's doing the motion capture with the Kinect. So you really could have a living character that could be interacting with your host right out of Lightwave streaming with the Kinect. It's a really cool thing.
Yeah, it's like it changes everything.
Yeah.
You had, back in the day, you had the whole paradigm shift video for the original video toaster or something. I remember that. And we all thought it was amazing, and it feels like it's almost another one.
Absolutely. Tim Jennison, again, hats off to him and the New Tech team, because, the TriCaster as well really is, what we're watching, everyone watching the stream, is all powered by the wonderful TriCaster.
Yeah.
It's like live production, live show virtual sets in a box. It's incredible. The 8000 model and all the other models that are offered are incredible technology. And the company is so inspiring to me, because I think we've seen as individuals that have had an opportunity of this technology from New Tech and Lightwave in our hands to give us opportunities that we wouldn't have had access to.
Yeah, well, I'm an old Amiga guy. Back in 85, 86, whatever it is, when my dad first bought me my first Amiga 500, and I, since then, it's like been the best computer I ever had. It's still in a closet somewhere. I need to dig it out. And I've known about New Tech since very shortly after that with, was it Digipaint? I don't remember what, but their first products, ever since, they've always been coming out with new innovative features, like really thinking about, what can we do with the current technology, and how can we make it even better and more surprising than what people expect it to be? And it's nice to see that, you guys are still carrying that on. It makes me feel good. It's one of the things from my childhood that still is cool. I like that.
And the other thing I love is, many people have not heard of Lightwave's functionality across the board. When we say that it is a complete studio-in-a-box solution, what we mean by that is there are pillars of production for 3D production. When you walk up and look at the reel from Blood and Chrome, or you see footage from Iron Sky, the great imagery you see was not only... Is that us?
I don't know.
Something's happening.
I don't think so.
You not only have the models that were done in Lightwave, you have the texturing, you have the effects work, you have the dynamics, you have the simulations for cloth, with the dynamics. You have the rigging, which now with Genoma is even that much easier. Now with the plugin we offer for Nevron Motion, you have all the motion capture tools that you can add to that as a module. But you also have the renderer built in. Most people don't realize that this award-winning renderer that you see, that I personally used up to a scale of stereoscopic IMAX on James Cameron's Aliens of the Deep. Lightwave did all those 60mm projection shots beautifully. And you know what? Jim liked it. He thought it was great. He hired me on Avatar after that. So it was a really amazing opportunity that I myself, really the team on Aliens of the Deep for all the creature stuff that I did and the show title open was me. The modeling, the rigging, the design of the character, the creature based on his painting, and the rendering, I did it one person.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do.
Yeah.
It's because it's just all, it's just right there.
Yeah, and I love that, because as an artist, you have that freedom when a show comes to you and says, Rich, we have an idea, what can you do?
Right.
You have a bag of tricks you can pull out, and I'm sure that it gives you a sense of creative freedom. Yeah,
and it freedom and power, because I know that I don't have to rely on somebody else to finish it. They don't, I don't have to rely on somebody to animate it or to render it. Like, I may have the most beautiful model, but then if this guy's got to surface it and he's not very good, I don't have to worry about that. If something's wrong with it, it's because I messed it up. But if something's good about it, it's because I made it good. I can see my vision through from the very beginning all the way to the end, and that's power.
That's power, and those of you who are online, you can download our latest magazine, the Lightwave magazine. I have an article on the end of it, the little closing comment, and I really call it, it's about auteurs with Lightwave, because the auteur theory is from French New Wave filmmaking. I'm a film student myself, went to USC and AFI, and love that.
My parents are UCLA fans, so
oh, really?
I'm sorry.
Well, see, I almost went to UCLA.
Oh, okay, you're fine.
Yeah, hey, but the thing about that is that we have so many artists like Chris Jones. You were looking up at his reel.
He's amazing.
He's amazing. One artist has a concept and an idea, and they make it all happen. Really, his work on The Passenger is Pixar-level short, done by one person.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous.
Yeah. Well, now I don't assume I'm going to do that in my garage, because there's being able to do stuff and then being able to do stuff really well, and a lot of that is he's just amazing. But the fact that I can even think about going into my garage, doing my own motion capture, doing my own characters, doing my own animation, and potentially even, like you said with the TriCaster, sending it straight to the web, just like that. Me, just one guy. Just the fact that I can even think of doing that, and that it would actually be possible.
You are
that's
your
inspiring.
own network.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, people come to me and they say, how do I get started? Well, you just start. You just do it.
Right.
That's what the internet's for. That's what these tools are for. Do it. Do some work. Do it. And you can. And with Lightwave, you can do everything. If you want to focus on one thing, you can. But if you want to go from start to finish,
you know, I never have thought, you really do, if you have the TriCaster and Lightwave, you have almost like an entire visual effects pipeline and television live production virtual set pipeline.
Right.
You could be your own network in your garage.
You could.
That's how, and people are doing that.
They are. Yeah.
Neil Laporte and Adam Carolla have their shows using the TriCaster, and several others I think are using the TriCaster streaming. It really, New Tech, I love this company because Tim Jennison's vision and the way he has empowered myself, you, others, Chris Jones with The Passenger, as we mentioned. If you haven't seen that short, you need to go and search on Google right now and look at The Passenger trailer and see that. If you haven't seen Richard Mann's Abiogenesis, we showed it last year. He is an individual artist in New Zealand that did the same thing, his own poetic short film done by him, and it is amazing work. Yeah. Lightwave does that, and it also does the Hunger Games shots. It does Battlestar Galactica, Blood and Chrome, Iron Sky. This is a really nice.
And how many shots of Titanic did Lightwave save?
Exactly.
And
we used it to create all the virtual assets that we used on set for Avatar and the virtual environments. All the many of the plants that were placed, the pipeline that we used came directly from Lightwave output, placed in Motion Builder, and exported down the pipeline to as deliverables to Jim to shoot on first, and then to Weta Digital to finalize.
No, the video I saw of you, that was amazing stuff.
Yeah, it was really fun, and the reason why, in my experience, see, we used Lightwave for that on the show, for Avatar, for the virtual assets, but we also did it when I was working at Jim's house with Neville Page and Yuri Bartoli and Wayne Barlow and Andrew Cause. I used it as the only 3D artist working with those designers at the time to do quick studies, motion studies of the creatures and the characters. The first time the Leonatrix did its thing, I animated all that Lightwave. The first time the Dire Horse had 4 legs versus 6 legs, that was all done very quickly, and we could do it because Lightwave could swap out those objects without having to pay weight maps, and the rigging was fast.
Right.
And I didn't need a pipeline. I was the pipeline at Jim's house for that visualization.
Well, just being able to swap out objects, that helps a lot in our show, because we type out our text or whatever, and then you swap it out, and it's just there. It just works. There's not this big hassle that you have to go through. Being able to reuse assets over and over again, and then reuse different assets, and it helps with the fast turnaround.
It's worth mentioning to those of you who don't realize this that is an architectural difference that Lightwave has from other softwares. Because objects are referenced in Lightwave from inception. When you have a pipeline of 5,000 shots on Battlestar Galactica, and you actually have to change the spaceship, the director came in and made a change, the production designer, you can change that one object.
And it's just done.
And you point your 5,000 shots because the objects are referenced to your scenes. It is not part of your individual scene. And all those 5,000 shots are updated. And you can see why television production gravitates with the fast turnarounds to Lightwave, because you can make those changes so quickly. Yeah. It's not all in one big giant binary file that you have to go and swap out and all this. It's very efficient.
Oh yeah, on our show, okay, well, they don't like that gold color, say they want it a little bit more yellow or something. Well, I go to the image file, take it into Photoshop, tweak the color a little bit, save it out. Next time I render an animation, all those color changes are just made. It just happens.
Right.
Magic.
It is a unique architectural difference that Lightwave has over other applications. So if you're working with other things like Maya, even Modo and those things, you're going to see that your object files are part of a big binary file. You can do ASCII, but it still includes all your object assets. So the files are much bigger. Lightwave, the objects are referenced as separate items. We have some of the members of the virtual art department that worked on Avatar standing here watching. I'm saying hi to them. They know that when we had to swap assets out for Jim and he walked in and said, I don't like that tree. We had thousands of assets we had designed. We basically were able to swap those out instantly with a push of a button because of this object referencing system. Yeah. And it's a very powerful thing. But
we've got a little prop house toolbox, and when we need to put together an animation really quickly, I just go over there, grab a couple things, and I go. I don't have to dig through old animations to try it. Okay, now which is the one that was surfaced properly? But they're just saved there all by themselves. The way that it logically makes sense. That's how studios have worked forever.
It really does. It's like a studio pipeline. And
Yeah.
when you saw the Never on Motion demo by Lino and Dave earlier, one of the other things to note is Lightwave gives you the option with rigging to either use weight maps or not, because it has this wonderful fall-off system that's just built in and just works. So those rigs that you saw in real time that were deforming the characters did not even require weight maps. So
nice.
when I was working on the visualization at Jim's house for Avatar with the Dire Horse, if Wayne Barlow, beautiful work by Wayne Barlow, by the way, renowned artist for aliens and creatures, and he's just brilliant. When he changed the Dire Horse design, I could swap it out in seconds by just replacing that object. So when Jim would walk from his office down the hall to my office, I had the new creature doing my animation before he got to the office, and you can't do that with another application. But if you want to use weight maps like is needed for other applications, you can certainly do that in Lightwave too, but you don't have to. That's the beauty of this package.
Right. Yeah, it gives you the flexibility to
Scale.
work the way you want to do work and scale.
Scale.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so much. We are honored to have you here. Of
course.
We
Thank you.
love the work you've done, and we appreciate you sharing motion graphics work in Lightwave with everyone. And we're going to run a motion graphics reel that we put together with all Lightwave motion graphics work right now. Take a look at that. And thank you so much, Rich Helvey.
Thank you.
Thank you.